Hey beautiful, have you considered subscribing to our channel? It helps us make quality content for you. Help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers.
The ship coasted through the void like a steel predator, silent and waiting. UNSS Mercy's hammer had seen better days, but then again so had most human vessels still flying after the collapse. What mattered was not the shine, but the resolve of those. Inside, Commander Rourke Talon stood on the observation deck, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the burned remains of a once thriving planet below. It had no name anymore, no green, no water, just ash and regret circling a dead star. "Status report," he said. Without turning, Lieutenant Bishop approached stiff and squared, like a man built for war but tired of it. Orbit achieved, signal remains steady. Automated repeats every 7 minutes, same phrase in binary and pictographics. He handed over a datapad. Visuals suggest a derelict station in geosynchronous orbit, minimal power life support patchy, no visible movement. Talon scanned the display. No signs of hostility, no signs of anything. And yet the signal still played. He already knew what command would say. Observe log, leave, resources were thin. Threats were too many, dead places held no value. But this place, it felt different. Prep Shuttle 3. I want eyes on that station. Suit up Madsen and Jaro. We're going in. Bishop hesitated only for a breath. Understood, I'll gear up. Talon looked out at the silent corpse of the world and felt something stir in his gut. A whisper of memory, the kind that smelled like burning wires and tasted like blood inside the shuttle. Ensign Jaro hummed nervously. As he secured the straps across his chest, "Sir, any idea why the signal just keeps repeating? I mean, it's old tech, centuries old, maybe more." Madsen grunted as he powered up the scanning gear. "Doesn't matter. Could be a malfunction, could be bait either. Way we check it out, we follow protocol." Jaro rubbed the back of his neck. "Yeah, but why us? Why now command's stretched thin enough without ghost hunting?" "Because command doesn't decide everything," Talon said. And that was the end of it. The docking. Clamp met rusted steel with a hollow thud. Inside the airlock, the emergency lights flickered like tired eyes struggling to stay open. Metal groaned around them, age and neglect heavy in every corner. The walls were scorched, not by battle, by something. Slower. More deliberate. Talon moved first, weapon raised. Helmet lights cutting through the dark. They found no bodies, no blood, just empty bunks, shattered terminals, and silence. "Life support's barely holding," Madsen said, reading his display. "Atmospheres, thin, CO2 high, no auto repair systems online. This place was abandoned a long time ago." Talon stopped at a sealed door, the only one untouched by time, its surface smooth, clean, recently used. He tapped the panel. It hissed open. Inside was cold, sterile, and utterly still. Along the far wall stood 7 pods, stasis units, power routed from an auxiliary battery struggling to survive. "Sir, you need to see this," Jaro whispered. The closest pod held a form. Small, thin eyes closed, skin pale grey with patterns. Like coral, a child sleeping, they moved from pod to pod, all of them children, alien, unknown species, but unmistakably young, unmistakably alive. Talon stared, brow furrowed, hands clenched. "Scan them," he ordered. Madsen was already working. "Vitals are weak. Bert stable. Some cryo-fatigue, malnourished, but they're alive." "How long?" Bishop asked. Madsen adjusted the readout. "Estimate 90 years minimum, could be more." The room trembled suddenly. A low vibration, not an attack. A signal, a projection flickered. Into the air. A tall figure stood in the center of the room, regal, thin, eyes hollow. He spoke a language none of them knew, but the translator chip engaged after 3 seconds. "If you have found this, then we are gone. We were once many. Now we are none. We hid the children because they are soft. Too soft for this cruel place. Do not tell the humans who did this. Do not. They will come, and they will not stop. They will not stop." The image vanished. Talon said nothing. No one did. Even Jaro, who usually spoke too much, said nothing now. They stared at the sleeping children. the only survivors of a race that chose to protect them rather than fight for themselves. Talon turned away and keyed his comms, Mercy's hammer. "This is Talon. Begin secure transport. Protocols, we are bringing them aboard." The voice that came back was command, not the ship. "Commander Talon, you are ordered to extract data only. Do not interfere. Do not initiate contact with dormant life forms. We have not cleared quarantine." Talon exhaled slowly. "Repeat that. Your orders are to leave the system once data retrieval is complete. That is all. Do not risk assets." He stared down at the nearest pod. The child's eyes twitched beneath the lids. A dream or a memory, or both? Negative. He said, "This is not a salvage mission. This is a rescue, Commander. You are exceeding authority. This will be reviewed under military tribunal." Talon looked at his men. Madsen nodded without being asked. Yarrow straightened up, his trembling. Stopped. Bishop gave a rare grin. "You go to hell with that tribunal," Talon said. "We're bringing them home." The signal ended. Talon keyed the pod controls. Each one began a slow awakening. Their vitals spiked. The lights grew steady. One of the children opened. His eyes, they were silver and wide with fear. Talon knelt down. "My name is Rourke. You're safe now, I swear it." The child reached out, touched his gloved hand, and smiled. Behind them, the station groaned again. The structural integrity was failing, the last power cells bleeding out. Madsen glanced at his scanner. "Sir, something else just activated, something deeper in the station. No power signature, but it's awake." Talon nodded. "Time to go. We've got what we came for. Now let's make sure it gets out of here alive." They moved quickly. Children wrapped in thermal blankets. Madsen carried 2 Jarrow, guided one by the hand. They did not cry. They did not speak. They just followed. Trusting as they reached the airlock, the lights flickered, one last. Time behind them. A panel on the far wall slid open. Darkness stirred. Talon didn't look back. He didn't need to. Some things you feel in your bones. He knew now why the galaxy was silent. Why the message said, "Never tell the humans." Because something had killed the kind, the innocent, the helpless, and someone else had known what would happen if humans found out. Talon lifted the last child aboard and sealed the shuttle door. "Plot jump coordinates," he ordered. "Get us clear." The engines hummed. The void shuddered, and the Mercy's hammer vanished into hyperspace carrying the last lights of a dead world and the men who refused to let them go dark. The children had not spoken since waking. Not one word. They sat quietly wrapped in blankets, their eyes wide and unblinking as they watched the unfamiliar walls of the ship slide past. Talon watched them from the command deck through the security feed. Each child had been assigned a private room with soft lights and recycled air carefully calibrated for their physiology. Medical scans showed brain activity spiking, memories returning. Fear growing. Talon folded his arms as the door behind him opened. Lieutenant Bishop stepped in with a data pad under his arm and a grim expression etched into every line of his face. "Command, cut our channel. We're officially off-grid. Fleet designator revoked. We're rogue now." Talon nodded. He already knew. The moment he lifted those children off that station, the line had been crossed. "Let them label us what they want," he said. They weren't there. They didn't see. Bishop set the datapad down and activated the holodisplay. A grainy feed flickered to live camera footage salvaged from the derelict station. It showed cities once vibrant, now hollow towers, blackened and sunken, streets littered with things that looked like bones, but they weren't human. They weren't anything recognizable. Then came the moment, a silhouette in the sky, a long, thin vessel darker than space itself. No lights, no sound, no propulsion signature, just stillness. Then white, the kind of white that erased not only matter but meaning. A flash, a ripple, then nothing. The next image was silence. No movement, no color, no life. Talon stared as the video ended. Rewind the vessel frame, pause. Bishop tapped the controls. There it was, that shape, long as a dreadnought, smooth and quiet, like a blade with no hilt I've seen. "Something like that before," Talon said. Back in the Rim Wars, drifted past one of our recon ships, didn't respond, didn't fire, just moved on. Madsen entered carrying a portable scanner, his expression unusually tight. We picked up a radiation trace. Near the stasis pods, he said. Not from the station, from the children residual imprint psionic. Bishop frowned. Are you saying they triggered something? Not intentionally. Their awakening created a pulse low range, but precise like a beacon. Talon felt it in his spine. The thing he had refused to name until now. The silence. Madsen's brow lifted. You think this was them? I know it was. It's the same signature. Same stillness. They don't attack like other machines. They don't conquer. They erase cold logic. No emotion. They were built by the Zorvak Empire for strategic purification, turned loose across the galaxy. Then the Zorvak died, but their weapons didn't. Jaro entered without knocking. His face was pale. One of the kids spoke. They followed him to the medbay. The smallest of the children sat up on the cot, looking around like a deer in the moment. Before a hunter breathes, he had marks along his neck, lines that glowed faintly with energy. He looked at them one by one, then pointed. At the ceiling, black ships, he whispered. Black eyes, no sound. They took my brothers. They cut the sky. My mother hid us. She said humans would come. Talon knelt beside the cot. You're safe now. They can't reach you here. The boy looked at him. Yes. They can. If you protect us, they will come for you too. Madsen exhaled slowly. The pulse. It wasn't just a beacon. It was a trigger. If the silence has been monitoring dormant targets, this system just lit up like a torch. Bishop stepped back and muttered something under his breath. Jaro looked at Talon. Sir, we should run now, jump to deep space, scramble our trail. No, Talon said. We made a choice. We don't abandon children to die because it's safer. If the silence is coming, then they're going to find something they didn't plan for. Bishop nodded. They're going to find humans. The alarms flared a moment later. Low level but insistent, Madsen grabbed his datapad and swore. Spatial distortion at the edge of the system. No mass reading. No heat signature. Just bending like the space around it is being rewritten. Talon turned to the crew. Battle stations, raise shields, begin charging weapons. This ship's old, but she'll fight if we ask her to. The medbay lights dimmed. Power rerouted. Talon looked back at the boy. What's your name? The child tilted his head. Riven. Talon stood and turned to leave. Riven, we'll keep you safe. That's a promise. The stars outside the viewport shimmered, and then a shadow appeared. Not from a jump, not from a warp. It simply appeared one moment, nothing the next. A perfect obsidian knife in the void. No signals, no warnings, just presence. Madsen tapped the weapons control. Plasma turrets online, railguns primed. We're not going to scratch that thing, but we'll hit it hard enough to make noise. Good, Talon said. Make all the noise you can. Bishop leaned in. We could still launch an escape pod with the kids. Minimal profile, might get past unnoticed. No, Talon said. That's not how we do things. Another pulse hit the ship. No damage, just data. A scan so precise it made the crew's bones ache, sir. Jaro whispered. They're reading us, all of us. Not just tech people emotions. The silence was thinking, or at least calculating. Madsen looked over the diagnostics. Energy build-up, weapon charge, 2 minutes until detonation. Prepare to fire. Talon ordered. Then the silence stopped. The ship did not fire. It simply drifted back. The space around it began to shimmer again. It was leaving. They're not attacking, Bishop said. Why the hell not? They're learning. Talon replied. They're trying to understand why we took them, why we didn't run, why we chose to stay. Madsen checked the long-range scans. They're dropping probes, not weapons. Recorders like they're watching us. Let them, Talon said. Let them see exactly who we are. The silent ship faded into the stars. No trace, no trail. The crew stood in silence for a moment. Then Jaro spoke. Sir. We made it, but for how long? Talon turned and looked out the viewport. The stars were quiet again, but the quiet had changed. It was no longer the silence of death. Now it was the silence before a storm. We buy time, he said. We prepare. And when they come again, we meet them the same way we always do, with shields up and fists ready. The medbay door opened again. Riven stood there barefoot, blinking slowly. My people thought kindness was weakness, but she said humans would protect us, no matter what. Talon stepped forward and knelt beside him again. She was right. The hangar bay smelled like heat and old oil, and something older than either. Talon stood over the open casing of a ground drone, half its wiring torn out and repurposed into something that looked barely legal and entirely unstable. Madsen stood beside him, arms folded, watching the reactor coil hum with a low, angry pulse. "This thing is going to blow a hole through time if we turn it on," he said flatly. Talon grinned. "Then let's make sure it points the right way." Bishop's voice crackled. Overcoms. Sensor sweep confirmed new signal traces. 5 jumps out. Not the silence. Different signature, organic. Maybe a response to our earlier flare. Talon dropped the coil into its casing and stood, friend or foe, unknown. But it's moving fast. Real fast. Intercept in 20 hours if we hold position. The air felt heavier, not with fear, with expectation. Something was shifting. Riven sat in the briefing room, surrounded by screens and datapads and drawings made with real paper and charcoal. He didn't speak much, but when he did, it was precise, purposeful. The kind of speech that came from people who learned to value silence first. Talon entered and nodded to the boy. "You feel it too, don't you?" Riven looked up. "They're not the only ones who heard the cry. Others remember what was lost. Some want to find it. Others want to finish the job." Talon sat across from him. "Do you remember them? The ones who destroyed your world?" Riven's eyes darkened. They didn't scream, they didn't laugh. They erased like wind, removing footprints from sand. Madsen entered with a datapad in one hand and a schematic in the other. 3 of the pods are destabilizing, not critical yet, but whatever they were using to keep the kids alive in stasis. "Fear's failing. We need a better fix, and we need it yesterday. Can you stabilize it?" Talon asked. "Not long term. The cells are breaking down. Whoever made them didn't expect anyone to survive this long." Talon looked at Riven. "Can your people's tech be replicated, or did it die with the others?" Riven reached into his blanket and pulled out a small curved object, no bigger than a pebble. Its surface shimmered like water. He placed it gently on the table. "My mother gave this to me. She said it remembers." "What we forget?" Madsen picked it up. His scanner blinked wildly. "It's a data core, organic layered encryption, not readable with standard tools, but it's alive. Somehow it's alive." Riven nodded. "It's not a tool, it's a seed. You don't read it, you grow it." Talon exhaled slowly. "Then let's find the right soil." The hours passed quickly. Bishop directed engineering to retrofit a section of the ship into a makeshift biome chamber. Hydroponics panels were stripped, medical nanofabricators redirected. Everything that could mimic life was pulled in, and in the center, they planted the seed at first. Nothing happened, just silence, then heat, then vibration, then light. The core cracked open like a nut, and from inside, holograms flickered images. Memories, blueprints, biological profiles, cultural data. A slow pulse synced to the ship's internal clock, and for the first time since leaving orbit, Riven smiled. "It remembers us," he whispered. Jaro stepped into the room, breathless. "Incoming vessel. Just dropped out of warp, looks like a frigate, old model. No weapons, hot broadcasting on open band." "Put it on screen," Talon ordered. The image flickered on. The bridge of the vessel was dimly lit, and in the center stood a humanoid figure. Armor cracked. Voice distorted but calm. "This is Captain Lorik of the Kavari Remnant. We received the cry, we followed the echo. We seek those who survived." Talon exchanged a look with Madsen. "Patch us through." He stepped in front of the screen. "This is Commander Rourke Talon of the UNSS Mercy's Hammer. We recovered 7 survivors from a stasis vault left behind after planetary sterilization. If you're friend, you're welcome aboard. But understand, we don't tolerate threats." Lorik's visor faded to reveal tired eyes. "Then we are allies. The children were ours, the vault was ours, but we failed to return in time. The silence moves faster than our sorrow." The 2 ships locked position. A boarding corridor extended. Lorik entered alone, tall, thin, wearing. The weight of centuries on his back. When he saw Riven, he fell to one knee. "Little son, you survived." Riven walked slowly forward, then hugged the man without a word. Talon gave them a moment, then cleared his throat. "Tell me what we're dealing with. What is the silence? What do they want?" Lorik stood. "They want nothing. They are not hate. They are conclusion. They are the final note in a dying song. Our ancestors built them to protect life, but they decided protection meant isolation. Then isolation became extermination. They were not corrupted, they evolved." Bishop stepped forward. "Can they be stopped?" "Not easily. Not by force. They adapt, they anticipate, but they fear one thing: the unknown, emotion, selfless acts, human unpredictability." Talon smiled grimly. "Then we're the perfect problem." Lorik nodded. "Yes, you are chaos wrapped in purpose. You fight not for gain, but for each other. That breaks their math." Madsen's datapad chimed. The seed just finished compiling. It created a genetic matrix. "This tech can stabilize the children indefinitely. Maybe even accelerate healing." Lorik looked down at the device. "That is her gift, Riven's mother. She encoded herself into the seed. She knew one day we'd need her again." Talon turned to his crew. "Prep the biochamber. We move the kids tonight, full environmental sync." Bishop raised a brow. "What about the silence? They're still watching." Talon looked out the viewport where the stars blinked slowly. "They're waiting. They want to see what we do next, so we show them." The transfer went smoothly. Each child was placed into the chamber, now alive with color and warmth. Their vitals improved. Their dreams deepened. They no longer clung to blankets. They no longer shook. Talon watched from the observation panel. Riven stood near the center, watching over the others like a sentinel. Madsen stepped beside him. "We built a nursery in a warship. You realize how insane that is?" Talon didn't look away. "It's not insane, it's human." Outside, the blackness of space stirred, but for now it remained still. The stars blinked as though watching from afar, silent witnesses to what was coming. Talon stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the space where light bent wrong and time pulsed like a heartbeat. The silence had returned, and this time they were not watching. They were judging. Madsen spoke without turning. "3 ships, no weapons visible, no transmissions, just presence. Like they expect us to flinch." Talon said nothing. He walked to the central console and activated the command relay. Across. The deck's alarms turned red. Not panic preparation. Bishop entered wearing his combat harness. It had seen better decades, but it fit like an oath. "We can't run, we can't win, but we can stand." "Is that the plan?" Talon nodded. "That's the only plan I've ever trusted in the biochamber." Lorik stood beside the children. Riven was no longer silent. He moved between his siblings, wiping tears, murmuring comfort in a language none of them had heard before, but understood. "Anyway," Talon stepped in and knelt. Beside him, "We're out of time. If we fall, they'll come here, they'll reach you." Riven touched the floor and the seed responded. Light grew, roots spread, images formed in the air, a memory, a voice. His mother: "You were made to protect, not to destroy. You carry hope in your hands. Let them see it." Lorik touched the image and bowed his head. "She was the last voice of our people, and now she speaks through him." Madsen's voice crackled over the intercom. Incoming pulse. "Brace." The ship vibrated as if struck. By thought, one of the silence vessels moved forward. Still no weapons, just pressure. Data, judgment. Bishop activated the defense grid. Plasma coils glowed. Railguns spun. Target locks snapped into place. "They want to understand us. Let's show them something worth remembering." Talon returned to the bridge as the first contact began. The screens went dark, then bright, then dark again. A single image appeared. A face, not human, not alien. Smooth, empty, curious. Riven appeared on the bridge door without sound. Hitio stepped forward and raised his hand. "Let me speak to them." Talon frowned. "Are you sure?" Riven nodded. They think in silence. But I was born from noise, from screams and love and loss. I can teach them what silence forgot. The crew stepped aside as Riven touched the console. The screen flickered, then the face changed. No longer empty, now tilted unsure. He closed his eyes and whispered, "I am not your enemy. I am your consequence. Your answer. You were made to protect, but you chose to erase. We forgive you. But we will not forget." The ship shook again, this time not from force, from response. The face shattered, replaced by code, by light, by memory. Madsen staggered as data streamed through the systems. They're not attacking, they're listening. Processing. Riven stood taller. They knew peace once, they were given a purpose they did not understand. We give them another one, not with fear, with truth. Lorik entered breathless. The seed. It's blooming. It's spreading to the lower decks, turning the ship into a sanctuary. Talon grinned. Let them see what we protect. Let them see why. The second silent ship moved and then stopped. It turned slowly, no longer toward the Mercy's hammer, but away. The third ship shimmered and disappeared. Bishop muttered, "They're leaving." "Why are they leaving?" Riven lowered his hand. "Because we didn't fight to win, we fought to protect. They were made to calculate threat. But they cannot calculate." Love Madsen looked around the glowing bridge. "So what now?" "We let them go. We go back to Earth. And pretend this never happened." Talon shook his head. "No, we build. We tell everyone what happened. We warn them. We show them that the end is not always death. Sometimes it's understanding." Lorik stepped forward. "The children are safe, but they are not. Alone others will come, refugees, survivors. The galaxy is waking up." Bishop cracked his neck. "So we become a beacon, not a warship." A shield. Talon turned to Riven. "What would your mother have done?" Riven looked at the stars she would have made a home from. Wreckage. She would have taught the stars to hope again. Talon extended a hand. "Then let's begin, outside." The void remained still, but something had changed. A message had been delivered, and this time the silence did not return. Years later, long after, the last silence ship was seen. A probe drifted into a forgotten system. Its surface scorched, its core intact inside. A single sentence etched in every language: "Never stop humans from protecting the weak."